To close out our program, we have our second keynote speaker, Betina Brockamp. Betina is a marine science graduate student at the University of Southern Mississippi, where she studies physical oceanography. Her research focuses on ocean circulation offshore of Mobile Bay, Alabama, and the northern Gulf of Mexico. She earned her BS in geology from Tulane University in 2020, where she co-founded the first student chapter of the GeoLatinas. In 2022, Betina was named a Congressional BlackCaucus Stephen Feinberg Scholar, and most recently was honored a 2024 Black in Marine Science Tidal Wave Fellow. A proud United States Navy veteran, she has served on tours in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and aboard the USS Harry Truman.
All right, thank you so much for that introduction. Yes, I just want to say good afternoon, Ocean Explorers, and congratulations. This is an honor to be here today for the second year in a row. The OECI program is more than just a program, it's a movement. It's a movement for a more inclusive and just ocean science community. So thank you very much for allowing me to be here. So here we'll take a quick look at what we're going to talk about today. First, I'll begin with sharing my story, which was already partially shared, of my journey in science and into graduate school. We'll then look at these 4 pillars that I wanted to go over with you today in talking about acknowledging past contributions, building community, embracing our differences, and also dreaming big. And then just a little call to action. So in my introduction, I studied geology at Tulane University, where it took me all over the world. I got to walk through the washes in Death Valley. I rafted 188 miles down the Colorado River. I even deployed an array of seismometers in New Zealand on the North Island. All of these things made me realize how I love fieldwork and that there's so much to be had by being out in the field, just like in the lab, but being in the field, just really getting your hands dirty, that drives me a lot. After Tulane, I joined the University of Southern Mississippi, where I study physical oceanography. Does anyone know what physical oceanography is? Have we ever heard of that term? Yes? Well, for those of you that don't, physical oceanography is basically ocean physics, fluid mechanics, understanding ocean currents, waves, tides, how the water flows. So I found it very challenging, yet very rewarding. You do a lot of your coding in R. I use a lot of MATLAB. I cry sometimes, but I really fight through. So my research is focused in the northern Gulf of Mexico, and hopefully I will be defending my thesis very, very soon. I've said that for about the past year, but we're going to keep our fingers crossed. So along the way, throughout my graduate studies, I found my community. This community is an organization called Black in Marine Science, and they are my peers, they are mentors, they are people that understand me, my cultural background, my challenges. They understand my ambitions, and we are there to root each other on, celebrate our breakthroughs, but also be critical and motivate one another. And it just proves that community is a catalyst. It is the catalyst for innovation and for belonging, and it's really important to have these kinds of organizations. So circling back, I wanted to get to where I was talking about these 4 pillars that I really find very important for me. And now that we have that foundation in place, I wanted to talk about how that we definitely stand on the shoulders of giants, and that these past contributions are with us every day and every moment. And their breakthroughs are what make today's innovations even possible. So first, let me introduce you to Alice Augusta Ball. She found a way to treat leprosy in the 20th century. She devised what's called the Ball method and was able to make a water-soluble injectable that revolutionized leprosy treatment. Next, we have Dr. May Carroll Jemison. the first African-American woman in space, serving as the mission specialist. And not only that, but she was a medical doctor. She got her degree in also in engineering. Next up, we have Dr. George R. Carruthers. He was a research astrophysicist that worked at the Naval Research Lab, and his camera, an ultraviolet camera, landed on the moon, creating the first moon-based observatory that allowed us to look at the Earth and out at the stars in a whole different aspect. And going on the last presentation we just had, we have Dr. Robert Bullard, the father of environmental justice, who taught us that clean air and clean water are not just a privilege, they are a fundamental human right. Dr. Gladys Mae West. How did we all get here today? We used our GPS, right? It was her mathematical calculations that were the basis and the foundation for GPS. She helped us understand the shape of the Earth so that we could commute to GCRL, or we could even navigate a research cruise. And finally, we have Alan Emtage. Anytime you look at your computer and go to Google, it was his original search engine that is the foundation for all internet queries. So going into pillar 2, and now that we've honored a few of the giants in the past, I want to talk about building community. It's not just about finding a seat at the table, but we need to seek out and find the spaces that celebrate us and that don't just tolerate us, right? Whether we are people of color, we are a woman, we hit some box that checks an other, we need to feel as though we belong. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay? What spaces do you wish existed? I want you to imagine, what would they look like? What groups or clubs do you wish you were a part of? Who would you meet there? Who could benefit from your ideas? When you scratch an idea down on a piece of paper, whose life could that change? Who do you wish was texting you right now? If there is a book that you really want to read, but it has not been written, then you must write it. Toni Morrison was a powerful woman. That's not just for authors, though, right? It's for all of us. It's for every person. If the community that you need doesn't exist, be the author. For 5 seconds, 10 seconds, turn to your neighbor. What community do you wish that you had? Just say one to your neighbor. All right. All right, so now that we've imagined or even started building our communities that we need, let's take the next step by truly embracing our differences, right? Because a chorus of identical notes never makes a symphony. Only when our differences are truly honored do we make that symphony. Let me show you what being the only one in the room looks like for our giants. Here we have Doctors Jemison, Doctors Carruthers, Doctors West, each the sole person of color in these historic moments. Imagine stepping into those spaces, feeling both the weight of, or I don't know, invisibility, but also at the same time the possibility. Yet they didn't shrink back. They stood their ground, and they forever changed the fields of science that they were a part of. So when you find yourself the only woman, the only person of color, the only persons with a disability in a meeting or in a lab or in a space, know that you belong there. And if you are the only one there, then they really need you there. Thank you. Each of these trailblazers was literally the only person of color in these spaces. Yet they pressed in, they made their voices heard, and they changed their fields forever. So let's talk about embracing our differences and putting it into action, right? So we have to do the work. We have to listen deeply to voices unlike ours, unlike yours, unlike theirs. We need to share our stories without hesitation. And we need to bridge across the line to spark new ideas. That's how you turn isolation into inclusion and notes into a symphony. So our fourth and final pillar, I want us to think about dreaming big and what that looks like. We've honored the past. We talked about embracing our differences and building community, but what does it mean to dream big? Because why do we do what we do? Why do writers write? Why do artists paint? Why do scientists like me go off out to sea? It's simple. It's curiosity. The itch to ask what if, and then to try to answer it. To think back to our giants. Alice Ball didn't worry about being the only Black woman in her lab. Dr. Mae Jemison didn't think about being the only Black woman on this space shuttle Endeavour. She knew, I need to go out and orbit the Earth. And Dr. Alan Emtaj, he didn't wait for somebody to give him permission to index files. He just hacked it and gave us the first search engine. So we are human beings that are driven by curiosity, that instinct to build something new. So ask yourself, what big questions am I afraid to ask? Or what frontier seems too far? If you're asking those questions, then you are in the right place. There is never a time in the future in which we will work out our salvation. The challenge is in the moment, and the time is always now. Our moment is now, so let's set our sights high. Let's aim our sights high. Let's work together. Let's build community. Let's embrace our differences. Remember the shoulders of the giants that we stand on, and dream big. And with that, congratulations, ocean explorers. This has been a long summer, but the few presentations that I saw were amazing and incredible science that you did. So thank you for listening to me. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask.